This is our ill structure problems team report presentation by Colton, Luca, Jessica, John, Annika, and Warren. The problem we chose to focus on is the plastic and paper waste produced by pharmaceutical companies. Our objective is to explore possible solutions to minimize waste. Prescription bottles and excess paperwork are thrown out daily by pharmacies and their customers, which is wasteful. Roughly about 50 bottles and 300 sheets of printer paper are trashed a day. Particularly for North Point Giant Pharmacy, which is located in Northern Virginia, it serves about 1,000 customers. This is just one pharmacy. So imagine all other pharmacies and how much waste they produce collectively. So considering the population of customers, you can guess that this is a busy pharmacy, and a busy pharmacy means some possible solutions may not be viable due to the busy nature. There are also other factors to consider when recycling, like ensuring that HIPAA personal information doesn't get disclosed or improperly disposed of. How is this particular problem different from other industrial counterparts of wasteful actions? For instance, in the grocery department, there is plastic everywhere, from bakery items to fresh fruit packages. One store like Kroger calculated that they handed out about 6 billion plastic bags a year, about 6% of the total number of bags distributed annually across the country. That's the equivalent to about 32,000 tons of plastics. This statistic is based on only one store. According to the EPA, a quarter of the trash comes from the food packaging. So from the pharmacy, collectively, 270,000 tons of plastics that are entirely recyclable ends up in the ocean. So there's more plastic waste coming from the grocery department. However, one of our group members who works at a pharmacy, this is more of a direct concern for them, and tackling the recycling problem there would be easier, considering that they work there. In addition, there has been less attention and disclosure on the pharmaceutical industry's waste, so focusing on a less mainstream department would raise awareness.
Our first potential solution is to recycle the prescription bottles. To do this, pharmacies could partner with local recycling companies to pick up the used prescription bottles from each store location. For this to be successful, though, customers would have to return their used bottles to the pharmacy to be recycled. The question is, how should customers be incentivized to bring their bottle back to the store for recycling?
Customers can be incentivized to recycle prescription bottles through a number of ways. Some ways include better messaging, Google Ads, and recycling advertisements. More and more companies such as Nike, Timberland, and PepsiCo are incorporating recycled materials in their products. This shows that companies care about the environment and therefore will incentivize customers to recycle. There are several influencers including Bay Johnson, Lauren Singer, and Catherine Kellogg. They have websites and books talking about how to recycle materials, and here on the bottom right is a picture of how these different kinds of messages can influence people to recycle products and what the result of the product will become. If you recycle into a new life, just recycle as normal, or recycle into a new life, but it'll also change the product. Like it'll be incorporated into a new product.
In implementing this solution, certain stakeholder groups are impacted. The pharmacy company itself would be negatively impacted economically in that they would have to pay for the recycling services and incentive costs. The pharmacy customers would either be neutrally or positively impacted depending on the incentive structure. Say, if the company employed a 5-cent tax that was refunded on returning bottles, or alternatively, if they were given discounts depending on the amount of bottles returned. And finally, the recycling company would be positively impacted by the partnership with the pharmacy company.
Solution 1 is very environmentally friendly since the bottles are being recycled instead of thrown away in the trash. Environmentalists can rest easy since the bottles are going to recycling plants. The recycling plants will make sure the bottles are reused in environmentally friendly ways. An unintended consequence of this solution may be that recycling agencies cannot find ways to properly dispose of the bottles because they might not be fully recyclable. The bottles may not be completely recyclable because plastic is a stubborn substance so it resists decomposition. In addition, many recycling companies operate at losses and an influx of business might strain their capabilities.
So the second solution that we came up with was to reuse the pill bottles. We would do this by having customers return the used pill bottles to the pharmacy in a collection bin, and then the used pill bottles would be washed either by hand or with a specialized machine, or they could alternatively be shipped out to a separate washing facility. The pros of this solution are that there are decreased money spent on buying new pill bottles every single time. Of course, there's decreased waste of old pill bottles being thrown away and not recycled. But some cons are that it's hard to incorporate a washing facility into a pharmacy schedule because it's busy enough. Some stakeholders that might be impacted are the pharmacy companies themselves and the recycling plants. The pharmacy companies would need to incur the cost of hiring new workers to wash the used pill bottles or ship the pill bottles to a washing facility. In addition, they would need to install washing machines if they choose to do it in-house. The recycling plants might also be negatively affected because they could lose business opportunities from pharmacies that would have decided to recycle otherwise. Some ethical considerations of this method would be the customer privacy and medical safety. Customer privacy would need to take into account when removing and disposing of the labels, because the labels contain information that is very private to the customer. In addition, medical safety needs to be taken into consideration when washing the used pill bottles, as contamination could possibly be a factor that affects the solution.
The third solution to the problem would be to transfer paper documents into electronic documents. By eliminating the use of paper, there will be no waste, solving the root of the paper waste problem. Computers will be used to store customers' data and medical records, which will be seen as more efficient and advanced. It will also save space and money on paper. There will be no more need for files and document storages in companies' offices and pharmacies. And it is also safer than physical documents. No physical harm will be possible, such as tearing paper or natural disasters, and it will be stored on the cloud or the internet, so it can be accessible to any computer. The stakeholders that will be impacted by the solution would be pharmaceutical companies, customers, and recycling plants. For pharmaceutical companies, they would benefit from transferring to electronic bills, documents, and receipts because they would save money, time, and space while improving their company's image. Customers will be impacted depending on their socioeconomic status. If they lack a computer, then they will not be able to reap the benefits of the electronic documents, and in fact may feel alienated from this decision. Recycling plants will stand to lose the most out of this solution because less waste means they'll lose their income. Ethical considerations to consider while implementing Solution 3 are customer privacy and access to internet. Having customer information stored online poses cybersecurity threats, leaving them vulnerable to data breaches or hacks. And since the solution requires the customer having a computer to access their medical records and data, disadvantaged customers may feel alienated.
Our final recommendation for a solution to the problem of excess waste from pharmacist companies would consist a mix of solutions 1 and 3. This new solution would combine the collection of used prescription bottles to be recycled and the migration of documents and receipts to digital mediums. For prescription bottle waste management, we believe that Solution 1 was a better option than Solution 2, as there would be less renovation, machinery, and employees necessary on the pharmacist company end. Software engineers would have to develop online systems for filling out the legal forms for prescriptions and a method for customers to access their information. The second engineer could be a materials engineer, since they develop, process, and test materials used to create a range of products. Therefore, they can make sure that the materials used are environmental friendly.